Hello everybody and welcome back to another video in this Pygame tutorial series. In today's video, we're going to be implementing a shooting mechanic into our game. And if you've been watching this series from the very beginning, then you'll know that we are currently at a stage where we have an animated character who is able to move to the left and to the right, who is able to jump, who is bound to certain areas of the screen. And in addition to that, we also have a beautiful background. So how can we create a shooting mechanic for our character? The first thing that we need is we first need to have an image of a bullet. So the image of the bullet which we're going to be using is this one. It is a very simple image of a blue ball. You don't necessarily need an image, but I think it looks nicer, which is why we're going to use one. This image is stored in this small folder. I'm going to go ahead and copy the folder into the working directory. And so the directory which we're working in, which has all the files of our game, is the one that I've highlighted over here. It has our bullet now that I've copied it in. It also has all the images, which you also call sprites, of our character. And it also has the background image, and in addition to that, it has the code which I have up at the editor at the moment. So the first thing we need to do is we need to load in the image of our bullet. So we're going to say that bullet underscore img is equal to pygame dot image load, and then we need to pass in the path of where our image is stored, and that is going to be os.join, and then it is stored in the folder called bullets. As you can see at the place where I'm circling my mouse pointer, the folder is called bullets, so that's what we need to write in. And we also need to write in the name of the image, and that is going to be simply bullet.png. Alright, so now that we have the image loaded in, we need to make sure that the image is scaled to what we to the size that we want. So around the code which we've just written, we want to write pygame.transform.scale, and we are going to just copy the code which we just wrote into the parentheses, and we need to scale the image down. We're going to scale it to 10 by 10 pixels. Now the reason why I'm doing this is really simple, because the original image of the bullet, if I go ahead and open it up for a moment, you can see over here where I'm circling my mouse, it is 47 by 47 pixels, and that is going to be too big. So we want the image to be 10 pixels by 10 pixels, and that is exactly what happens when we use the scale function over here. So now we have loaded in a scaled image of our bullet. The next thing we want to do is we want to create a new first thing I'm going to do is close down or minimize the functions which we're not going to look at today, just to make the code less clunky for you guys. So I'm going to close them down, and we're going to create a new method in our class hero. So we're going to write define, and the method is going to be called shoot. Define shoot, and it is going to take only the instance of the class as a parameter, and it is going to create a new bullet every time we press the F key on our keyboard. So if the user input is the F key on our keyboard, so pygame.k_f, which you can think of as key underscore f. Then we want to create a new object of the class bullet. Now I've not coded the class bullet yet, but we'll do so in a moment. So just take this as a given for now, bullet, and we're going to pass as parameters into the class bullet several things, and that is the x coordinate and the y coordinate of our hero, self.y. And remember, the hero is simply the character which we display on the screen because he looks like a hero. All right, so we are passing in these two parameters to the class bullet, and we also need to create a new variable, which is going to be self dot, hold on, what did I call it again? I think it's, bullets, self.bullets. And self.bullets is simply going to be an empty list. And whenever we create a new bullet, we're going to append the bullet to this list. By default, there's not going to be any bullets. That's why the list is going to be empty at the very beginning. So if user input is the key f, then we're going to create a new bullet, which is an object of the class bullet. And the next step is to then go ahead and create the class bullet. So class bullet is going to first have an init method, so define underscore init, and it is going to take as parameters the x and the y value, and it is going to be self.x is equal to x, self.y is equal to y. And the next method within our bullet class is going to be the draw method, which is literally going to draw the bullet on our surface, and the surface is the window, which is where our game is being played. So we're going to write define draw underscore bullet, and we want it to draw the bullet, so win, which is short for window. You'll remember in the previous tutorials that we declared that the variable win is simply the window of the game, which is given over here, which has a height of 400 and a width of 800. We did all this at the top. So just keep in mind that we've already done that. And it is going to then blit the image onto the screen. So bullet image, and the coordinates where we want to show the image is basically at the exact coordinate where the character is. So self.x dot self.y, and that is exactly the images of the that is exactly the coordinates of the character, which we're passing into the init method over here. So that is exactly what's going to happen. Then in the main loop of our game, we then want to listen for the key press F. So we're going to write hashtag shoot to make a comment, to just have it a bit more orderly, and we're going to write player dot shoot and empty parentheses. And remember, player is simply an object of the class hero, which we have created over here. And we've called it player because we control that small man running across the screen. So that is just simply what we're going to call the one and only object of the class hero. And then the final thing we need to make sure is that we actually go ahead and draw the image onto the screen. So in our draw game function, we of course also want to draw all the bullets. So for bullet in player.player.bullets, we want to make sure that all the bullets are drawn. So we are going to call bullet, we're going to call the draw bullet function on the bullet. So draw bullet. There we go. Okay, so this should be it for our first step. We've not told Pygame, we've not told our game yet how we move the bullet, but the bullet should be created. OS has no attribute join. Hold on, there seems to be an error. os.join. Let me just quickly check what went wrong. Okay, so I've made two small mistakes. The first thing is that I need to add path over here. So make sure to add path over here. And the second thing I need to adjust is that we need to append the bullet to the list once it's created. So we need to write one more thing over here. So self.bullets.append and then bullet. Okay, so now it should be working fine. Let me go ahead and run this. And you'll see that now every time I press the F keybind, there is a small bullet which is created on the screen. You'll see that if I go ahead and do this in the corner, look exactly at where the bullet is created. The bullet is created in a spot which is slightly offset from the middle of our character. Let me go ahead and show you by running this again on a clean canvas. So look exactly where the bullet is created. There's some sort of offset there. And the reason why there is an offset is because when Pygame gets an image, for example, the image of our character over here, it takes the top left corner of the image. It doesn't take the center of the image as its center. It takes the top left corner, and that is exactly where the X and Y coordinate of our character is, and that is exactly where the bullet is going to be created. So that small offset is a bit of an annoyance. So let's make sure that the bullets are created at the very center of our character, and we are simply going to do that by adding a value to our X and Y coordinate. And I've just made this a rough estimate, so this is by no means exact, but it's a bit of a trial and error thing that I've done here. So I'm going to add the value of, hold on, what did I add before? Let me just quickly check. I'm going to add 15 pixels to the value of X, and I'm going to add 25 to the value of Y. So now what is happening when I go ahead and run this again? It is moving 15 pixels to the right of this top corner, and then it is moving 25 pixels down, which is more or less the center. So if I go ahead and run this now, you'll see that the bullets are in fact being created more or less, well, not quite, but somewhere at where the middle of our character is. It's good enough for now. Yeah, so let's leave it there with that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we somehow want to create a moving bullet. So the next thing we want to do is we want to move the bullet by changing the shooting function. We're going to say that for bullet in self.bullets, we want to bullet.move. We want to call the function bullet on the, we want to call the function move on the bullet is what I mean to say. So in the class bullet, we're going to create the move function. So define move. And we want to increment the value of our x coordinate by 15 pixels for every while loop iteration. So we're going to say self.x plus equals 15. And that should do the job. If I go ahead and run this now and press F, you'll see that the bullets are actually being fired. But there is still some stuff which is not quite correct. One thing is that we can fire indefinitely an indefinite amount of bullets. And the second thing is that the character only shoots in the direction to the right hand side, what I mean. But if the character is looking to the left hand side, as he is right now, he still shoots to the right. So let's try and make him shoot in the direction which he is looking in. Okay, so let's close that down and do that. So to make sure that the character shoots in the direction which he's looking at, we're going to create a new function within our hero class, and the function within our hero class which we're going to create is going to be called direction. And I'm just going to go ahead and create it down here. So define direction, and the function is simply going to return in what direction the character is facing. So if the self.face_left is true, then we want to, or hold on, we're actually going to start with right at the top. So let me just copy this. We're going to have right over here, and below that we'll have left. So if he's facing to the right, we want to return the value of 1, and if he's facing to the left, we want to return the value of -1. Okay, so now some of you who have not been following from the very beginning might ask what this variable face_right is. It's actually a variable which we've included a couple of episodes ago. We said that by default face_right is true, so by default when we run the game the character is facing to the right. And then in, I think it was the in the movement class, in the movement method, I mean, we said that whenever we press the right key, then we want the face right variable to equal to true and face left to be equal to false, and vice versa for whenever we press the left key. So that is exactly what we've already done in previous episodes, and we're going to reuse these variables to use within this direction function which we've just created. Okay, so we've created this direction function. We now need to make sure that we pass this value of the direction which we're facing in into the bullet. So we're going to write self.direction over here, and then we need to move on to the bullet class, and it is going to also take the parameter direction. We'll write self.direction is equal to direction, and then in the movement function we're going to say that if self.direction is equal to 1, then we want to increment the x value, so then we want to make sure that the bullet moves to the right. And if self.direction is equal to -1, we want to make sure that the bullet moves to the left by decreasing the value of x by 15 pixels every while loop iteration. Okay, so yeah, that should now make us happy because it works. Hold on, let's see if it does. And now, yeah, it does work. And so there's no errors this time. You'll see that whenever I face to the left-hand side and press the F key, I get bullets which go to the left. And whenever I press F on the right, and I'm facing to the right, I get bullets which go in the appropriate direction. All right, so I'm gonna leave it here for this tutorial just to not make it too long. There's of course still a couple of things we need to improve. We need to be deleting the bullets once they go off of the screen because they take up space in our memory and we don't want that. And besides that, we want some sort of cooldown for our bullets because as you can see at the moment, I can create an arbitrary amount and there's no limit. So we definitely need to make some adjustments there. To the amount of bullets which are fired. But we'll leave it there for now. If this video helped you out, make sure to leave a like below this video. And yeah, if you want to stay up to date on this series on Pygame tutorials, then make sure to subscribe to this channel and we'll see each other in the next episode.